Hey everybody, it's Kenny Cummins here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. Very excited to have my guest on the phone. Goes by the name of Austin Fouts. He is with me right now. What's going on, man?
Oh, not much, man. Just sitting here excited to be on the show. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, man. Let's go and get right into it. How did you get started as a wrestler?
Well, back in 2015, I was just like, man, I want to be involved in wrestling in some way, shape, or form. But I always thought I was too small because, when you see those guys on TV, those are some big fellas. So I was just doing some research. I was clicking through the internet, and I found a company called Impact Pro Wrestling. So what I did is I messaged the promoter, and I told him, like, hey, I know a cool way that I can make your product better. And the fellow's name was Troy Peterson. He was like, hey, I'm always all ears. Let's listen. We talked for a little bit. I'm sure he thought I was crazy, but he told me anyway. He's like, hey, come to a show. Come check out what we're all about, and we can maybe talk about some stuff down the line. So I went to the show. I had a great time, and at the end of the show, the trainer goes, well, have you ever thought about wrestling? And I said, no, sir, I always wanted to, but I'm too small. He said, well, come to training next week. We'll try you out. I did. I had a blast, and the rest is history. Ever since then, I've been wrestling all across the Midwest. I've wrestled in multiple different states and just been having a blast doing it ever since.
So when you went through the whole training process, learning everything from the moves to from the character development, things like that, what was that like, and what was the biggest challenge that you faced when you went through the whole process?
Going through the training, the hardest part for me was learning, getting the moves done right. The character stuff was easy for me. That came to me like it was nothing, but it was actually just making sure I was doing everything safely and in the correct form and everything like that to make sure it's done proper. That was probably the biggest struggle for me. And what I had to do is I had to keep showing up training. I had to keep busting my butt until I got it right.
So going through, in the Midwest, doing shows, performing and everything, different crowds, different reaction, things like that. And you're being an entertainer and all, being, wrestling and things like that. Like, what do you consider, your favorite part of being a wrestler? Is it, the performing, the storytelling, the moves, interacting with fans?
Hands down, it is interacting with the fans, man. Just going to those shows, seeing the smiles I put on those fans' face, that makes every single second of this worth it to me. The blood, sweat, and tears, it's worth it all for the fans.
Definitely the fan interaction is what I hear from so many people. Just getting that reaction. Having people just hang on to everything that you do or what you say. And, you get that bit finish and everything. And it's like, wow. You seeing these
Definitely
performers put it all together. As people like to say, wrestling is not ballet. It definitely takes a lot of work into making these matches happen. And, what made me a fan of wrestling growing up was the whole storytelling.
Right.
And as years gone by, you see that the athleticism has taken an all-time high. It's like people are just taking their imaginations to a whole nother level. For you, who do you consider your influences, whether it's on the indie scene or on the pro level?
That's a good question. I'd have to say probably some of my biggest influences would have to be Shawn Michaels, Dolph Ziggler, and of course my trainer, Bill Picca. He wrestles by the name Ugly on the Independents, and he was a huge influence and really helped me get where I am today.
It feels like for wrestlers, undersized wrestlers, they continue not only to be, more than just what they are. It's like they becoming top tier guys now. It felt like when wrestling got started, it was like the big, strong, heavyweight guys that was getting.
Oh yeah. As a kid, going to shows, I was meeting guys that like the regular size. If you weren't over 6'4" and jacked, you weren't welcome. But now I go to these shows and I'm only 5'10" and about 240 pounds, and I'm half the times one of the biggest guys on the card. It's a new great game now. It definitely is. You no longer have to be 6'4", 280 pounds of solid steel. But now, anybody can do it. I shouldn't say anybody. It still takes a degree of athleticism and a degree of being a superstar to be able to do it properly. But, it's not the same. It's not so cookie cutter as it once was.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned Dolph Ziggler, you mentioned Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, for him to be able to do that for a very long time takes so much punishment. There was a time that he took about 4-year hiatus and came back and got even better,
Exactly. I agree with that 100%.
And that was, as far as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, he's right up there. He's right up there with his work and what he's been able to do, not just as an individual, but as a guy part of a collective like the Clique or D Generation X. What do you have in store for 2019?
Let's let you finish.
No, you go ahead.
All right. Well, 2019. There's a lot in store for Austin Fouts. I'm actually my biggest accomplishment is probably I am going to be working on my own promotion, Rugged Pro Wrestling, here in Iowa. I'm super excited about that. Me and my best friend Tyler Jones, who is my tag partner, my roommate, my best friend, my ride or die. He's been there for me from day one, and him and I were going out on this venture of Rugged Pro Wrestling. Our debut show is January 26th here in Marshalltown, and that's my baby. That's something I'm definitely looking forward to pursuing and dominating the wrestling scene with in 2019.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that,
Hey, thank you so much.
And that definitely has to be exciting considering how far you come as a performer. And now you not only you on the scene, but you're not, about to go behind the scenes, help build wrestlers and, evolving and developing. Like, what is that like for someone, to have your very own company and, to having the opportunity to see it grow and develop and getting the support from fans out there?
It is honestly just an unreal feeling because, when I started out, not too many people just wanted to give me an opportunity. And I wasn't asking to be their champ. I just asked for an opportunity, and a lot of people looked away. So I'm excited that here in Rugged Pro, I don't care if you're a man or woman. I don't care if you're white, black, brown, orange, purple, pink, blue. I don't care who you are, where you're from. If you're a good person and you can show yourself out there in the ring, you have an opportunity to show yourself at Rugged Pro Wrestling.
So, obviously, with shows, people do one show a week, people do one every other week. With your company, with your promotion, what direction are you going as it pertains to the type of shows y'all going to do per month, per se?
So, with our Marshalltown shows, Marshalltown is going to be our base, and we're actually going to run here every 2 months. And then we're going to fill in with some spot shows, some one-off shows, so to speak, kind of sprinkled out throughout the year. And then when these shows kind of prove themselves, next year we'll go to once a month here in Marshalltown, and then we'll kind of branch out and start running regularly in other towns as well.
That's awesome. I like the way you're going with that. Just to see how people, how the support's gonna be, and if things go well, then y'all are gonna show more of it. So basically, yeah, it's up to the fans out there of how much they really want it. So
yep, definitely.
So it's
I don't want to force it down their throats. I want them to want more.
Yeah, and it's very crucial. It's very important to everyone. Support your local wrestling companies. Show these wrestlers your support, and check them out. At least give them one shot. Just see what they can do. So I definitely wish you well in that regard. And and I want to ask you this from a fan standpoint, because there's a lot going on in wrestling right now. I just feel like there's more wrestling on TV now than it was like 20, 25 years ago.
Oh, it's crazy.
You know, it's there's so many options, so many alternatives, and then there's Cody and the Young Bucks. They putting together their own wrestling company, All Elite Wrestling. So much anticipating. They got their first show coming up in May. You, from a wrestling fan standpoint, how do you feel about the state of wrestling as it is right now with so many other options out there?
Professional wrestling right now is back at its height. You know, I'm not saying we're back where we were back in the Austin era where, you know, every man, woman, and child watched wrestling, but hey, we're getting there again. Right now, there's so much wrestling out there and getting so many views, getting so much attention that right now it is an amazing time to be a wrestler, because even back then, you know, you had WWF, you had WCW, or maybe even consider ECW. Now, you know, there's Ring of Honor, there's TNA, there's All Elite Wrestling, there's WWE, there's New Japan, there's, you know, you name it, there's somewhere that has it. And it's an amazing time to be a wrestling fan. It's an amazing time to be a wrestler. There's so many opportunities out there right now.
I definitely agree with that, you know, considering how far wrestling has come. And, you know, there's so many options out there, different styles and different characters and opportunities. And what's good for AEW is that there's more jobs for anyone out there. There's other options. So, it's especially just in case if you don't get an opportunity for WWE, you know, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, you know, options. So it's definitely a good time to be a wrestling fan. And if people, you know, it's definitely a good time. And I look forward to seeing what AEW can do. All or Nothing is going to be highly anticipated in May. We just got to go through the whole cold weather and all that, and then we're good. Now, Austin, why don't you go ahead promote your social media feeds? Where people can go to check out your wrestling career and, you know, your company as well?
All right, awesome. So on Facebook, you can find me at facebook.com/Real Austin Fouts or facebook.com/Rugged Pro Wrestling. On Twitter, you can find us at Rugged Wrestling, or you can find me at Real Austin Fouts. Instagram at Rugged Pro Wrestling or at Real Austin Fouts. Those are my social medias. Those are Rugged Pro social medias. Thank you for the opportunity to plug those social medias.
Absolutely, man. I want to thank you for being on the show. Continued success with you as a wrestler and as a promoter. I'll definitely keep an eye on it as well. And again, thanks for your time.
Definitely, Kenny. I hope we can get you up to a Rugged show here sometime, or I hope Flex Appeal, the tag team I'm part of, can get down there to you. Hopefully, we can hang out in person sometime and we can have a good wrestling talks.
Hey, I look forward to it, man. You have a good night.
Hey, you too. Thank you for having me on.
All right, bye-bye.